Good evening, Becky. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, and we are back with TDR versus Knowski. Tyler Daniels Racing definitely looking to make a comeback here after the Knowski domination in Season 1, and it is going to be another awesome season this time around, and I know TDR has been putting in the extra practice to try and be the more dominant team this season. So we'll see how everything plays out as things go along. Now, to get you started tonight, we do have the Daytona Riley prototypes, from Watkins Glen. But this, if you're a NASCAR fan, you've never seen this version of Watkins Glen. This is the road course used for IMSA and several other series that they are using with the extended boot. So there will be a little bit more track you might not be familiar with as you watch a couple of guys, including Becky's favorite driver. There is Scotty 2 Hottie out front. Andy Shaner already dropping in the comments saying TDR is going to win. Time will tell, though. All right, we have a good field here tonight. So far, 27 of the 30 drivers have joined the field. 6 minutes left in practice. They do have a little bit longer qualifying because it is a road course. So that does make things a little bit longer. So we'll have a little more time to talk and go over a few things. However, as we mentioned, this is the longer version of Watkins Glen. So it is 3.4 miles with 11 turns. They will go 35 laps here tonight, and they will have to make at least one pit stop for fuel. So that could, the pit stops here, you know, if they take fuel or if they take tires or whatever choices they make on pit road could determine the race. And you know, a few of these teams have been practicing a lot trying to figure out the best way around here. And as I pull up some data here, I'm hearing from Andy Shaner that apparently Becky is supposed to go set a hot lap for Scotty 2 Hottie. Meanwhile, you see on screen, there is the track layout, there is the mileage, and suddenly in my ear, who do I hear? It's a Tommy.
You know, I've been listening to your introduction while I was wrapping up some stuff on the back end of the promotion side of this race, and I wouldn't say it was domination by Team Pudgaknowski. They won, but I think those points were pretty tight. You know, 2 races to go. Last race, they kind of ran away with it, but I expect TDR to be pretty upset and bringing some competition this season.
Yeah, I think Knowski Nation would like us to believe it was domination from some of the posts from individuals, and obviously Knowski themselves. They're thinking they were the dominant force to be reckoned with. Will that be the case again? Probably not. I expect to see. You know, last season, the first half of the season, the points leader swapped pretty much every week. I expect to see a lot of that again.
Well, I love watching Pudgaknowski streams. He has a personality that's larger than life, and a lot of the people that come to the race with him have those similar personalities. They're very outgoing. They're go-getters. So of course they're going to say they're the best and rub it in the TDR faces. But I think TDR really brought their all-star road course team tonight. We're going to see some action.
Oh, definitely so. And looking through a few of the Nowski Nation, there's guys that I've raced on road with, and of course, the Nowski Nation, they put together an endurance team, and they won an endurance race just a couple of weeks ago. So these guys are really, they started out as mainly a dirt oval group, and then went to asphalt oval, then have taken on road, and everything they join, they kind of dominate. So, but then again, TDR has some of the top I-rating road guys out there. So, and of course, then there is always the spoilers in the McCanns.
Absolutely, and TDR kind of has the opposite story of Nowski, where they started primarily paved oval. They've branched into some road racing, had some tremendous success with a couple leagues they've been running, and then now they're just now delving into a dirt league.
And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, as I bet some of these Nowski Nation guys hop in some of those TDR dirt races and might see some grudge matches come out of that. Since they have the dirt experience at hand.
Yeah, absolutely. The first grudge match TDR hosted was actually Otto Cruz from Nowski Nation and Adam Rickey from Team TDR, and it was quite the race to watch. A bump and run only in the SK mods.
That was hilarious to watch. And definitely it had a lot of cautions and a lot of excitement everywhere they went on track. So things got very, very interesting. And I think things are going to be really interesting here tonight. Now, I have to ask Tommy, how much time have you spent in these cars?
A little, but not a lot. I've run these at a few different courses. We actually had a league that would run these about once a season, the Coffee and Cars League. We still run Sunday mornings. I haven't been able to get up that early on a Sunday lately. But they're fun to drive. They're pretty well behaved. They're very similar to I would say a Radical. You got to brake very straight. You can't do a lot of cornering while you're slowing it up. But other than that, I mean, a lot of grip, a lot of downforce. They're pretty fun to drive.
Yeah, they're like a Radical plus about 15% on just plus. There's just more car. It's a little bit bigger, a bit more power. I think the Radicals run about 375 horsepower. These are at 500. These weigh a little bit more, but they have the downforce and the grip to balance it out, and they are exciting to drive around these tracks.
I might be mistaken, but I believe TDR's Iconic series has a fantasy league in fall that will be running these cars at some track. I don't recall the track. Might be the Super Speedway at night.
Oh, that is fun. I've done a race in these cars at Pocono, and it was basically a 24-hour race, but we advanced the time. So we started during the daylight, ran through the dark, and finished in daylight. And I got to tell you, that's an exciting thing to do in these cars. So that'll be extremely fun. And running these at super speedways, it's like watching cup cars. They're nose to tail, side by side, a lot of draft, and I think that's going to come into play tonight as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think early on we're going to see a lot of tight racing. Of course, being a road course, we're only going to see local cautions, so there's not going to be anything that stacks them back up. But these cars, they're not likely to run away from each other. You're not going to get those massive gaps that you see in like a GT3 versus LMP race. I think these cars are going to stay pretty stacked up, and they're going to be really racy, at least through the top 10.
Yeah, and I noticed a new name in here, Eric McCarthy. Is that Kayla's dad or brother, or?
I'm not sure. Looking at the radio communications, I see Kayla McCarthy's radio is on, but I don't know if that's the same McCarthy out there on the track.
Interesting. I did notice on her stream yesterday or the day before that it wasn't her driving, it was a guy driving. So interesting little tidbit there. We might be able to look into that here in a bit and see who it is, but definitely an interesting twist there. As Kayla, we were looking forward to seeing her this season come and be, I was going to say the dominant woman, but my understanding is that we're going to get a Becky Flowers on Team Nowski a couple times this season.
I would like to see that. From what I've heard from Scotty, she's been practicing some road racing, and she might just show up and put on a good show for us. It's hard to say with someone you've never raced against, but under the tutelage of Scotty Tuhati, I think she'll probably do all right.
Oh, yeah, and there it says Scotty takes 2 qualifying. Let's take a lap. When he comes back around, we'll take a lap from the start-finish line around and see how this track is laid out, because as we mentioned, it is a bit different than what you've seen in the Cup Series. And in most things, this is the extra long version of Watkins Glen.
Yep, the extra fun version.
This is actually my favorite version, although I prefer doing it without the bus stop there on the long straightaway. But, it's still an awesome race course to go. And this section Scott's going through right now is extremely fun to race through, especially in a high downforce car like this. You got so much grip, there's so many different options, there's so many ways to pick up speed, and these cars punch a big hole in the air, so when the draft comes into play on these higher speed sections, we're going to see some really interesting racing out there.
And see, I come from a differing opinion. I love the bus stop. I think the bus stop's a great place to make up time for me personally, but I hate that boot. I always forget which corner I'm on when I'm in the boot. I'm like, am I at the heel? Am I at the toe?
Just close your eyes and turn. You'll be fine.
But no, that's how I run ovals.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how a lot of us run ovals. Scott coming out of the last corner. And this is the front straightaway down into turn 1, where I guarantee you we're going to see problems on lap 1 at turn 1. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I think turn 1 isn't the hardest turn here. There's a lot of room to run outside of that corner if you get a little wide. We might see some cars packing up there trying to gain position, but I think the most problems we're going to see is coming through this section right here. Very fast, very loose. It's an opportunity to pass if you can get it done, and most people can't.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky coming up through the S's and trying to pass somebody. And as you mentioned, you can brake so late, and especially in these cars, you can brake so late for the bus stop if you time it right and get a lot more momentum through the bus stop out and down into the boot section as you go down this hill into the left-hander, and you barely get out of it. You have to get out enough to settle the car, and then you're right back in it and you're going for it full speed down into this final section.
Yeah, and for me, right here, where you come along the tread of the boot and into the toe with that long wraparound right-hander, for me, that is the hardest spot to judge, because it does tighten a little bit as you come towards exit. And again, every corner here is a passing opportunity, and that can easily be misjudged and become a yellow flag opportunity.
Yeah, and this corner as well, this next 3 corners with this configuration, especially this left-hander here, it gets a bit tricky, because if you get on the power, it's slick right there. For whatever reason, the track is just super slick right there, and you get on the gas, and even in a high downforce, high grip car, you can send it around really, really easy, and could see somebody's night in there tonight.
Yeah, and coming back down the straightaway, when my favorite part, right after turn 1, when you go through those S's, it is full throttle, very low grip. You got to be able to hold it together. Right here, where he comes off, plenty of room to run off. As he comes up through these S's, this is my favorite spot of the track. It doesn't matter what configuration you're on, you always get this best spot.
And there is a little bit of grip in the patch sections there too, because it's patched with concrete in the first S, so that helps. But the second S is patched with asphalt, and there is no grip right through there.
And it's just as you come off the hill going over that bridge too. So even though there's a lot of downforce with the high speeds, the car's still kind of moving upward as you come over there, and that makes for a less grip situation even more than just not being concrete.
Yeah, it's worth noting we're looking at the Pudgaknowski himself, looking at his car now as he comes through the boot section. We'll try and get a closer look. It's worth mentioning that we do have some paint schemes for the teams out there, but there might be a few guys in very bland paint schemes, as iRacing had a patch this week, and there were some issues. There's some issues with the application trading paints that displays everybody's paint jobs, And that has been a common theme since Wednesday is trading paints isn't working all the time. And we might even get to see an odd glitch here and there.
Well, I would point out that Team TDR doesn't seem to be having that problem.
No, they they have that custom painted paint scheme and beautifully done, I might add. Let's see, who was it that painted that, Tommy?
Andy.
Oh, BS. that is a Tommy original.
Oh man, don't no. Every now and then I can slap some colors on the car, but I have no talent. I literally just copy and paste logos over the official color we have.
Looks like I am seeing a few guys that have not actually gotten out on track. Now, they do have longer to qualify, but they're over halfway through the qualifying session. And Dean Webb, Bryant DeYoung, Tom Rule, and David Trumbley have not qualified yet. So, looks like we might have a few guys intentionally starting at the back. They're not even sitting on pit road waiting to go out. Kayla McCarthy is out there. Wait a minute. There are two McCarthys on track.
Are there? I only see one McCarthy on the radios.
There are two. There is Kayla. She is in, it looks like she might be having the trading paints glitch. I can't tell for sure. And then Eric McCarthy. So we're going to have to look into that. If anybody knows, drop in the chat and tell us, is there multiple, are they related, brother and sister, father, daughter, whatever. We're just curious.
Yeah, based on the radio communications, I'm showing Kayla in the number 24, which is what we would expect from her, but I'm only showing 13 out of 15 drivers from Team Pudgaknowski with the radios on. That doesn't mean they're in the race, that's just who has their communications live to the booth.
Interesting. There is Bradley Hunt finally getting out to qualify. Kayla, she's on her out lap. Jeffrey Sheldon on his out lap. And the drivers we just mentioned, they have not pulled off of pit road yet. So now it's down to about 4 or 5 cars that have not qualified of the, looks like 29 drivers in the field tonight.
Yeah, and I do know with these events, TDR versus Pudgaknowski, some of the rules are a little different. Typically in a TDR event, it's part of driver courtesy and the respect of other drivers. You go out there, you qualify, you do your best time, you don't sandbag anything. And they may be allowing some of that in this league. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but if everybody says it's kosher, I guess it's kosher.
Hey, there you have it. And apparently they are not related. John Lucido just dropped in, so they are not related, and she just changed her paint. So we'll have to see if we can get a better look at that once she gets, well, there she goes. That might be why it's not showing up, is because it just changed. So there you have it. I was actually driving one of these cars just a couple of hours ago.
How was it?
Well, it was on a very inappropriate track. It was at Hickory. So, yeah, it was interesting, to say the least.
Is that part of the Week 13 silliness?
No, that was just part of the How to Suck at iRacing Friday Fun League. We did those, and then we did GT3s on Daytona Rally.
What time do you guys run those races?
Generally start around 7:30 Eastern.
Okay, that conflicts with our Friday Night Lights. That's probably why. You're not likely to see me over there.
Oh, what a shame. We do very inappropriate cars on so if we were here tonight, we would be in something like a dirt car.
See, I do very inappropriate cars at inappropriate tracks, but I only do it at inappropriate times.
Yes.
It's always after 11 p.m. for me.
Yeah, if I wasn't old and broken, I'd probably be doing the same thing, but I'm old and broken, so yeah.
I'm just young and broken.
And looks like Angie Newton cheering on Brian Heaslett here, and Becky, of course, cheering on Scott and the Knowski Nation. So got a good number of people in the watching tonight. Make sure you drop in, say who you're cheering for, and say hello.
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 Oh, you weren't talking to me. Oh man, gotta have some fun. First race of season 2, you know.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season with the upcoming schedule and with the changes in drivers. But now here we are, and everybody is qualified. They are starting to grid, and up front will be Patrick Gitter and Jeremy Edwards, followed by Joseph DuPont and Otto Cruz in the second row, Kevin McCann, Lucas Gortman in the third row, Brian Heaslett, Eric McCarthy on the fourth row, and Pudgaknowski himself in ninth, Charles Joplin in 10th, Dale Weiser in 11th, Scotty Too Hottie is in 12th. 13th is Anthony Hooker, Brian McCann's in 14th, wow. Kevin Gironi is 15th, Andrew Bisnett 16th, 17th is Matthew Wheeler, 18th is Kevin Bernheimer, John Lucido is 19th, Jeremy Gaiman is 20th, 21st is Jeffrey Sheldon and Andy Shaner 22nd, PJ Cox 23rd, Kayla McCarthy in 24th, 25th will be Bradley Hunt and David Trumbley in 26th, Dean Webb 27th, Brian DeYoung 28th, 29th is Tom Rule III, and it looks like we're going to be short one driver here tonight.
I do know TDR actually has a family member. His father passed away this afternoon. I know he was out. Did you read off the name of Matthew Wheeler?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so Matthew Wheeler substituting for Blair Patterson tonight. That's the only one I could think of that was missing. But we're definitely a car short.
Yep.
Which means we're only going to score the top 14 for each team.
Hey, you know what I just realized?
What?
Well, it looks like, I'm trying to zoom in, one of the top two is running the same paint scheme I run. That is Jeremy that is Jeremy Edwards in the Miller Genuine Draft car. That's the same paint scheme I run on my Riley, so yeah, good job, buddy.
You want me to paint you one up? As a matter of fact, I have one pre-made. It's kind of like a teal thing. But you got to get a shot of the back of one of these cars at one point, because I did put a little something on the back for Team Pudge.
Let's see if we can get behind, use the in-car. Oh, I see. It says, I'm beating you.
It does.
Very nice.
It's a great message to send to anybody behind you.
Yes, it really is. And you know some people are going to get a little frustrated. It's worth noting these cars do bump draft really well, and there are a few places on this track where you can bump draft, and I'm guessing that some Nowski Nation guys might be bump drafting some of those TDR cars before the night's out.
I don't think you can bump draft in these.
Oh,
you can bump,
you can.
and you can draft, but I don't think you can combine the two.
You can. You better both be going straight. I mean, you can not do it in a turn, but you can bump draft these, and it works really, really well. I used to run in a league that ran these on ovals on Sunday mornings. I can promise you these things can bump draft. All right.
Well, there's no mistaking the TDR cars out there. Those things are bright.
Yeah, they definitely are standing out tonight. It looks like your entire team actually has them on tonight as well. So that'll make it easy to identify who is winning as the night comes down. 35 laps. It'll take about a minute and 20 seconds, I believe, was the lap times I was seeing in practice. So, yeah. This thing will be over quickly, but I guarantee you it's probably going to get really, really exciting, really, really fast. I think we're going to see some action in turn one as everybody tries to get as much as they can on that first lap.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and it looks like, yep, we are coming through the last corner. And the Porsche pace car about to drop down pit road. There he goes. Barney the flag man has the flag, drops it. A green flag is in the air. They are down and away. And oh goodness, if you've ever raced at Watkins, Glen, you know you're holding your breath through turn one.
Turn one's not that bad. Plenty of room for forgiveness. It's coming into the two and up to those S's that it gets a little dicey when the weight gets lifted off those tires.
it can get a little sketchy through turn one. A lot of these guys having been there for the first season, a lot of respect, and it looks like a lot of patience. In an open session, that's not always the case, and that's where you tend to see a little bit of the chaos at turn one, as they're already at the the bus stop. That thing.
Yeah, if you can say anything, the fact that you said they're already there. Everyone on this track is fast. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's who's faster than who.
And you know, the one car that has moved up the most positions so far is in 12th place now. That's Kevin Bernheimer, has picked up 6 spots already. You know, I've seen Kevin run stock cars on road, and I've seen him run some GT3s, but I've never seen him run these cars, and it's interesting to see how quickly he is moving up. He's definitely a good road racer, but who knew he was going to be... Oh, as we were starting to see some activity.
Yeah, that'll be a local caution here.
Let's see, Bradley Huntley into the bus stop, just went off.
Looks like 2 Pudge cars there.
Yep, and Bradley Huntley took the worst of it, and it took him a while to get going. Otto Cruz went off as well, and it looks like Brian... Let's take a look and see, where is Otto. Otto got stuck in the sand on that third corner from the last corner, number 9.
Yeah, and I think along with Otto, I did see a TDR car there pulling out and getting back on the track. So it looks like 3 Pudge drivers and 1 TDR driver involved in the pair of incidents there.
Yeah, looking down. Oh, it looks like we just had a couple of guys. Looked like whoever was at the front was getting on their brakes a little bit earlier, and that is what sent everybody around there. And that is the concern when you're in these high downforce cars and these high speed cars, is that you end up some people brake a little bit sooner to get the run off the corner. Some people try and carry as much momentum as possible. Different braking points can lead to a lot of different problems.
I will say, after reviewing that incident, on the plus side, these cars are very forgiving in the sand trap. You're not going to get high spotted like you will in one of the Indy cars.
No, that is definitely true. Yeah, another car on the march right now, John Lucido, who started 19th and is now up to 10th. And it shouldn't come as any surprise. Brian McCann started 14th. He's now up to 8th.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's a good thing for Team TDR, of course.
Yeah.
Where's brother Kevin?
Kevin is now up to 3rd.
And where did he start?
5th.
Oh, that's not that great. He only went up 2 spots. Come on, McCann. You can do better than that.
Get in gear, McCann. It looks like Kayla McCarthy was involved in an incident. Let's see if we can see what happened there. And into the bus stop. Oh, she clipped the grass on the entry to the bus stop. Went around. Fortunately, she managed to get really lucky, and everybody knew she was there. She gets turned around and gets going, but that's going to send her all the way back to 27th, and a bit of a heartbreak from the young lady we expected to see come in here and be dominant this season. Of course, it is early on.
Well, and to her credit, good heads-up racing. She got to a stop. She let the other cars go by. She didn't try to do one of those wacky 180s in the middle of the track and catch some other cars. You know, you got to respect a driver who respects the other drivers on the track.
This is definitely true. Patrick Gitter still in the lead. Joseph DuPont, and we did not see Joseph DuPont all last season. New driver to TDR?
You know, I think he was involved in one of the TDR versus Pudgaknowski races. He's been in TDR a little over a year, and he does really well on road course, and those tend to be the races he actually shows up for. He doesn't do a lot of oval with us, and to me, and I deal with a lot of different TDR members, he's a bit of a mystery. He may be from across the pond. I don't know a lot about Joseph DuPont, honestly.
Oh, interesting. Hey, we just got a couple of nerds just brought us a raid in, so thank you for that, and looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning for the 48 hours of 48 hours stream to end. I have so much going on, I can't keep it all straight in my head. But,
I know the feeling.
But yeah, at 7 Eastern, I do my 4-hour stint for the 48-hour stream to end MS, and I will be hosting 4 races. You can find out all about that on our Facebook page. Thank you guys for coming and watching.
And speaking of the Facebook page, shout out to Sonia Fonseca, who just chimed in on the Facebook. Happy 16th anniversary. And it's also her husband's birthday. So I hope that's going okay for you, Sonia.
Wait a minute. Isn't her husband on track somewhere? Now I have to go look. I don't.
No, I believe he opted out of this race specifically because it was their anniversary. But he was in the race I ran at 8 o'clock tonight. And, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Where's your husband, Sonia? Is he okay? It's his anniversary and his birthday. I mean, we have to check on him.
That is interesting. I have to say, back in 03 when I got married,
You mean trap?
No, I'm very happily married. Thank you.
I'm kidding.
In case my wife's listening. But no, she actually got a little sick that night from something she ate. And the league I raced in, she went to bed, and I ended up racing on our wedding night. So, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Sonia just chimed in. Keith, Sonia's wife, thinks he's being a spotter for Lucas right now.
Oh, well, Lucas is up to 4th, up 2 spots. So, you know, he's not doing too terribly bad. And they're trying to run down Kevin McCann, who's 3.6 seconds ahead. And, you know, it's a bit of a surprise. Kevin is 6 seconds behind Joseph DuPont and Patrick Gitter.
Well, he's getting there.
He's working his way up, but, yeah, he's actually he's losing ground. This has never happened before. This might be a sign of the end of the world. Kevin McCann losing ground on the leaders.
Well, you know, Watkins Glen, it's not the shortest track. It's not the best track surface either. A lot of here can bring tires into play. Or is he conserving a little bit to have a little better rubber going on into the later laps of this race, maybe?
I don't know, but we do have a couple of massive developments. Okay, first off, Brian McCann went off track a moment ago. And as he comes down into the boot, looks like he overcooked it into the boot, gets out to the wall, hard impact on the right front. You can see he's going to have a little bit of aero damage.
You see, me and Brian are homies. The boot is impossible.
And another one that was on a charge, Kevin Bernheimer gets loose coming through the boot and gets turned around. He ended up having another problem and went to the pits. And then,
again, in the boot.
Yep, and then Jeffrey Sheldon, it looks like, let's see where his incident started at. I am not sure. Again, in the boot. Oh, and he got hit by somebody. That was Bernheimer that got into the back of him. As both of them trying to recover.
Oh.
So we've got multiple. And it looked like he might have gotten somebody else there right before we went back from replay. Jeffrey Sheldon, Kevin Bernheimer, both on pit road for repairs now, and a heartbreak for 2 of the fastest. I mean, we mentioned it earlier. Bernheimer was flying through the field.
Well, it looks like he tried to get out of the way of the car coming, and the car coming didn't anticipate that move. And again, big shout out to Caleb McCarthy. If you spin your car out on a road course, stay still. Do not move.
Battle for the lead into the bus stop.
There we go.
Oh!
Whoop. Is that a shortcut?
Joseph DuPont gets a little too, I think he just got a little too deep in it, and instead of risking running into Patrick Gitter, he made the right move to go through the grass and avoid that incident, but that cost him almost 2 seconds on track already, and looks like he's having to give up a little bit of time. He might have given it up all of it by now, but he had to give up some time.
I'm sure he had a time penalty for that. That was a lot of grass mowing right there.
Yes, it was. He was not the first lawnmower man tonight, but you know, and
maybe the most costly. He was the most expensive man to spend time in the grass.
This is definitely true. And as things spread out, we're starting to see some gaps, especially in the top group. But Eric McCarthy and Lucas Gordman, and Pudgaknowski and Charles Joplin. 4 or 5 car pack here, running from about 4th back to 9th place. Scotty Too Hottie about 5 seconds back from him in 8th place. So 4th through 7th, really nose to tail all around the track. Seems to be the best battle on track right now as these guys go at it. And Lucas starting to open up a little bit of a gap as he picks up a lap car, and I think, could be wrong, but I think that's Bernheimer.
Well, again, going on to my prediction before the race even began, the top 10 are going to stay pretty tight. These cars are very racy. As long as you're not making a ton of mistakes, you can keep pretty good time. They won't spread out like a GT3 or an LMP.
This is definitely true, and you see Bernheimer giving Gortman a little bit of room there as they come through the straightaway. I know these two have raced together for over a year in several different leagues, so they work really well together. And I would imagine if Gortman wants a little help right here, I'm guessing Kevin's going to give it to him.
Well, and we're only 7 laps in. There's no need to get involved in an incident that's going to take you out, 20 laps from now.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting to see more and more cars go off track. Bradley Hunt, who went off track earlier, just had another incident, and he is really having a rough night here tonight. And got some heavy damage, already had some heavy damage to that U.S. Army car, but now in the tire barrier off turn number, I believe it was turn number 8.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Lock the brakes up there. So to you guys watching out there that do racing, if you ever end up in that sand trap, do not slam on the brakes. Let off the gas, keep turning. If it spins around, great. The thing you want to avoid is sliding into those tires with your wheels locked up.
Hey, interesting note. We have a Lord among us. Lord Topher Baltimore is in the chat saying what's up.
Lord Topher Baltimore.
Yeah, you did the accent way better than I could. I don't even try anymore.
Accent? I was just trying to figure out all the words. I know what Baltimore is. He's the Lord of Baltimore?
No, his family is of Scottish descent. He's got land in Scotland, so there you have it.
Lord Topher Baltimore.
Yep, so you can actually buy land in Scotland now, and you have to buy X amount of land. I think it's a couple of acres, and if you do, you get a title.
It's $159, and it is 1 square foot of land.
Yep, there you have it. Oh, Kevin Gironi and Anthony Hooker seem to have had an issue here. Let's see what happened. Down into turn number 1 goes Kevin Gironi. And, there's an incident right in front of him and just gets up underneath. Several cars having to maneuver through there. We knew turn 1 would come into play at some point tonight.
Well, just stacking up, you got to practice attrition. Watch those guys ahead of you. If you notice something that doesn't look right, slow down. Slow down a little bit and get on by it.
It looked like Anthony just went too deep into the corner trying to correct and just got on the brakes a little too hard. The brakes on these cars are almost analog. It's almost on or off. They have some grip to them and they have some give, but you reach a certain point and then they're just locked, and it's a bit tricky. As Joseph DuPont just had another issue as well.
Well, again, going back to what I said before the race,
Oh, well, we lost you for a moment.
When you're on the brakes, you got to go straight.
Yep, and it looks like Joseph DuPont coming through the third from the last turn just got a little loose coming up off there. As the tires heat up, they lose a little bit of grip. Even with that high downforce package, they're going to lose a little bit of grip and slide around, especially if you get on the power too hard. That was a big heartbreak as he's been in second all night. But that moves Kevin McCann up to second now, and he is 10 seconds behind Patrick Gitter, who right now would hopefully be taking it relatively easy.
Well, and that brings up another point I touched on earlier. Are tires going to matter with 35 laps of the Glen? It's an old paved surface. It's kind of rough. It's the Dover of road courses, if you will.
It really is. Good analogy. And I have to agree. Were it me, I would have practiced with the fuel load that they have and then determine how long that pit stop is going to take me, and then you check how long the fueling is going to take, and then you see if you have enough time to get tires at the same time. If you're talking a difference of about 2 or 3 seconds, especially here at the full version of the Glen, getting for just 2 or 3 extra seconds, the time you'd make up with fresh tires would be huge. However, if it's 5 or 10 seconds, it's not worth the effort, and you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you.
Try me.
You see this car coming down the straightaway into the into the boot. Excuse me. Guess who that driver is?
I give up.
Brian McCann.
You wouldn't.
That Brian McCann, same spot, a couple of different times tonight. He is definitely having a rough night, and you got to wonder as he goes to pit road now. You gotta wonder what is, Kevin's up in second, and of course there is that rivalry there. So that Kevin's sitting there probably smack talking Brian right now, but we've heard it before. It is a bit of a surprise to see Brian having problems.
The last grudge match we had was Kevin and Brian McCann versus each other. They assembled their teams. Kevin came out on top, and a lot of that had to do with Kevin's ability to drive the road course. Even though the vehicle was very unorthodox, Kevin was the better driver in that event, and I think road courses may be a weak point for Brian McCann.
Oh,
or maybe it's the car. Maybe it's the car.
Pudge is off track. Car. Pudge was in that battle for 4th place, and actually for 3rd place, just went off track. He's back going, but he dropped to 6th.
And that brings up another point. Pudge is a driver. He's good on road courses. I think the obscurity of the Riley prototype and how rarely it's won, or how rarely it's run, maybe none of the drivers have a ton of time in this car. I know I don't. I don't think I've ever done a pit stop in a Riley, because I've never been involved in a race long enough to do that.
It's interesting when you see it done, because they do the front tires, then the back tires. It's a weird pit stop.
Any idea how long a pit stop takes? Or any insight as to whether or not tires may be an issue here?
If they had a full fuel load, I can guarantee you they would be taking tires. But because the tires are actually done before a full fuel load. However, they did not have a full fuel load for this race, so that may come into play as well. And it looks like we've got another driver that just went off track, Andrew Bisnet.
Bisnet, yes. And I wonder if it's time on track and tires being worn causing these guys to make mistakes.
Oh!
Or is it just overall time on track, fighting this beast of a car around the Glen lap over lap?
That, wow. Given where these incidents keep happening at, it's the slicker parts of the track. And it looks like Bryant DeYoung is the other car involved in that as he goes around. But based on where they're at, it's the slickest parts of the track. It's the hottest parts of the track. I don't know that, this few laps in, they're 10 laps into it. Tires probably not the biggest issue out there. They are probably starting to show a little bit of wear, but you see guys out front like Patrick Gitter, like Kevin McCann, that they're just running away with it, just almost taking it easy. And tires do wear weird on these, but overall, they're pretty decent longevity-wise.
Yeah, I can't imagine 10 laps in that tires would be an issue at this point. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around what's causing the rash of issues. Is it time on track that's intense driving, drivers getting a little weary? Because I wouldn't expect tires to become an issue until, maybe 10, 15 to go, where they start getting a little more worn. Just, it's interesting to see. Everyone was on like firecrackers. We didn't see any incidents those first couple laps other than a couple checkups and touches, and now it just seems to be cars spinning around willy-nilly.
The interesting thing is Patrick Gitter just ran his fastest lap of the night and the fastest lap of the race. So I don't know. I don't think tires are really the issue. Maybe some of these guys have used a little too much, burned them up a little too early, trying to work their way to the front. But for the most part, I think it's just the track temperature. Guys getting a bit aggressive and trying to make moves or trying to gain where they shouldn't be trying to, or the other issue, you talk about weariness. Yeah, they've only been out there for 11 laps, but how many of these guys had a league race before this, or had, or were in? We know from last season, these guys put on multi-hour practices leading up to the race. So that could be the issue as well.
Well, rumor has it Patrick Gitter actually picked up Cole Trickle's crew chief, and I think he's on a special set of sticker tires that might just be coming in.
That would explain everything. They're match perfect and staggered special is my guess.
I do believe that's the first time in broadcasting there's ever been a Days of Thunder race during the first broadcast. I would like to own that.
Yeah, I guarantee you nobody's ever quoted. And you know what? I guarantee you Patrick Gitter probably is sitting in the car saying, "If you ain't first, you're last." And I think that might be, I'm safe in saying that's the first time Talladega Nights has been quoted.
I would say my favorite quote from Talladega Nights, but it involves superiority in urine.
Please, dear God, no.
I think that's one of the 7 words you can't say on television.
Probably so. These guys are at lap 23. I actually did not hear how many laps they could go on a tank of fuel, but I am guessing as Pudge and Scotty Too Hottie just hit pit road, it looks like it's about 12 laps on a tank of fuel. We might actually see 2 stops tonight. We'll have to wait and see how things play out. But those 2 drivers, either that or they are short pitting. That is.
Well, and I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, that's fine. That's another possibility. Is everybody's short pitting? The other car on pit road right now, Andy Shaner.
Well, I was just going to say, you and I, coming from an oval background, we're big into the American NASCAR oval racing thing. Less experience with the road races, and even less experience with these Riley prototypes. Like, this car isn't driven nearly as often as it probably should be. It's a fun car to drive. We look at an oval race and we go, okay, they're at 75% fuel. They can get this many laps in. And you and I are very well informed and can comment on what's going to be an issue later in the race. And we have no idea. And I wonder how much the drivers know outside of looking at maybe some data they have on their screens.
Yep. Kayla McCarthy having a rough night. That car is heavily damaged. Spins coming out of, I believe that's turn 8 that she came out of. And heartbreaking to see. She started the race charging towards the front, and last season we saw her charging towards the front multiple times. And as we've mentioned, it's always awesome to see girls or women out on track.
Girls, women. We actually had a literal girl. She's 16 years old, so not quite a woman. She came in second tonight next to Adam Rickey.
Nice.
Yeah, Adam Rickey brings a lot of speed to the oval racing, and I mean it was thousandths of a second separating the two. Now I might have helped with that, but it was a very close finish, and she almost had it.
It's really interesting. One of the women I raced with, she actually talks about, you get into these public races and as we've got a car wrecked. I think that was Adam Bisnett. Let's take a quick look. You get a lot of women that get grief when they get out there, but once you get into the right group, they tend to be like big brothers and very protective of them, and I can say that is definitely the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Same on our side. I mean, we've got Shanna Hart, we've got Sonia Fonseca, we've had a few race. We actually did we called it Ladies Night. We did a no damage dirt street stock, and we invited the wives of all of our regular drivers to come out and race. Some of them had no experience at all, and I'll tell you, they were putting down some pretty good lap times. Oh
my, yeah, I can imagine it. My daughter was in a league for the spouses and children, and she actually got a win in an SR8 at Rockingham, and Rockingham is not an easy track to win at, so in any car.
Yeah, I think women have a special skill set separate from men that is very well attributed to long haul racing. As men, we want to charge, we want to race, we want to go forward. Women will lay back, they'll be a little more analytical, they learn very quickly, and they'll look for that opportunity. And I think the two dynamics between the way men and women are kind of hardwired, so to speak, lends a lot of natural ability more towards women than men.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what happened, but just a moment ago, it just by the alerts, it looks like chaos ensued. First off, Jeffrey Sheldon goes off track coming down to the last turn. Hard hit to that car. Just a few seconds later, John Lucido has an incident, and he is just coming almost out of the boot, gets loose coming up out of the boot there. Then a few seconds after that, Dean Webb has an incident just past him in the third from the last turn, and we've seen a couple incidents right there where they get up into the, and Dean got actually caught in the wall and had to tow because his car was stuck in the wall. I think some of what we're seeing is these guys pushing to the outer limits of the track, getting on those rumble strips, and the two things it does is loosen the car up, but the rumble strips, because of the way iRacing stays on top of these tire models, the rumble strips tear the tire up just a little bit, just like they would in the real world.
Yeah, and I will say with this latest update to iRacing, outside of the issues we had on Wednesday when it was released, I think this is the least complained about tire model to ever be released.
I will tell you that it has been my experience thus far. However, there's a lot of question marks on the dirt tire model, but time will tell on that one. I can tell you these tires felt really good earlier tonight. They felt really even. The fall off was even. The grip was even, and yeah, it was just really well balanced for the tires for the car. So, there's one guy at iRacing that spends his entire life just going from tire manufacturer to tire manufacturer, testing, gathering data, and helping update these models. So it's awesome to see that they just keep working on it.
How do I get that job? Because this job only pays when I say stuff like Makoni Setup Shop. Your setups, their victories.
I don't know. I'm next in line for that. So yeah.
And a quick shout out to Becky in the Facebook chat. We will have another ladies' night race for TDR. If you send me a private message, I will make it a priority. If you don't, it will happen when it happens.
and
side note to Scotty Too Hottie, I am not hitting on your wife.
And I'm gonna lay down an even further gauntlet. If it's an SR8 race, I'll put my kid against any of y'all, and she'll win.
Whatever it is, put your kid in. I love seeing fresh talent, and I honestly believe women have a better skill set to learn and adapt to racing versus men. Men want to go in and charge hard. Women lay back, they're analytical, and they become so much faster than we could ever hope to be in a matter of an hour.
This is true. It is worth noting that with the pit stops, the incidents, and everything that has happened, we've got two guys that have managed to work their way up through the field. Excuse me. Tom Rule, who started dead last in 29th, is now in 6th. David Trumbley, who started in 26th, is now up to 5th. Tom Rule just hit pit road. Trumbley staying out, but now we are starting to see pit stops in earnest, and I'm guessing that everybody that stops right now, they're within the window to go the distance.
And I gotta think they're taking tires too. Even though tires, I don't think they're going to be that big of a deal. These drivers have to feel they are.
Trying to get a look at, and it looks like he might have already gotten off pit road based on his... I'm trying to take a look at pit stop times, but based on his pit stop, I don't think he's taken tires. I see a few times that I can guarantee he did, and it looks like about 16 seconds to 18 seconds pit stops. They got tires, and 11 or less they did not. And a few of these guys just have not. I mean, Lucas Gorman was in and out in just over 10 seconds. Pudgaknowski was in and out in 16.
Well, there's no tires on those stops.
No, I don't think Gortman did, but I think it's entirely possible Pudge did. We'll have wait and see how things go. And John Lucido, who we saw in an incident earlier, has now worked his way back up into the top 10. He's in ninth.
Yeah, I was just looking at a Pudgaknowski advantage.
I think you're right. Let's just do a quick run through the field and see all these folks that are running. Push button. Anyway, Patrick Gitter currently in the lead. He has a 16-second lead over Kevin McCann. So you've got Pudgaknowski out front, Kevin and TDR in second. Then you've got Eric McCarthy in third, who just got past Charles Joplin, literally going into the bus stop. Charles Joplin now in fourth. David Trumbley up into fifth. Dale Weiser currently in sixth. Lucas Gortman, the 2020 IROC champion, he's in seventh. Pudgaknowski now up to eighth. John Lucido currently in ninth. And Brian McCann having an amazing recovery. He's now up into 10th. Tom Rule in 11th. Scotty Two Hotties 12th. Brian Heaslett 13. Matthew Boston Wheeler is in 14th. 15th is Jeremy Edwards. PJ Cox is in 16th, but on pit road at the moment. Kevin Gironi in 17th. Jeremy Gaiman is in 18th. Andrew Bisnett 19th. And Andy Shaner currently in 20th. Then Anthony Hooker 21st. Brian DeYoung 22nd, Dean Webb 23rd, Kevin Bernheimer still on track despite a couple of incidents and some heavy damage earlier. He's in 24th, Caleb McCarthy is 25th, 26th, and Joseph DuPont are all off track and probably done for the night.
My takeaway from that is top 5 is 3-2 for Pudgaknowski. 6th through 10th is 3-2 for Team TDR.
So here we go again, season 2, starting off with some really close points.
And we'd expect nothing less.
No, definitely not. And you know what? This battle for third is really getting extremely tight, as Eric McCarthy and Charles Joplin, well, a lot of the field, they've pulled away, able to run down Kevin McCann in second, but these two are just, Eric is faster, and then the next part of the track, Charles will be a little bit faster. As you see, Charles gets that lower line down, he's working